Wiener Looping is one of Austria's best roller coasters, and it's the newest attraction to debut at Prater in the heart of Vienna. The ride, also known as Wiener Looping, pays tribute to an older ride that operated back in the 80s by the same name. It was a Schwarzkopf shuttle loop that actually still operates to this day at Selva Magica in Guadalajara, Mexico, known as Bullet. And with Prater long overdue for a big new roller coaster, it was very fitting that their newest attraction not only pays tribute to their past, but also the country of Austria as a whole, with the colors of the ride being the same as the Austrian flag. The ride suffered a 2-year delay due to permitting, but finally opened in spring 2025, and I had the opportunity to experience it for my first ever time over the summer. It was one of my most anticipated new rides of 2025, and it did not disappoint. It is easily my favorite roller coaster at Prater, and fits nicely within my top 10 favorite roller coasters by Mack. The ride is one of their Big Dipper models, the same sort of ride as Lost Gravity at Walibi Holland, with the two rides actually sharing pretty similar stats, only about a 4-foot height difference and 4-mile-per-hour speed difference. It's also the same type of layout as the nearby Phantasiana, the other big theme park in Austria. They also debuted a new for 2025 Mack coaster named Helios, but that ride is just a tad smaller, not as fast, though it does feature the same number of inversions. What makes Wiener Looping stand out though is its 92-degree beyond vertical drop, the steepest drop on a roller coaster in the entire country, and its extremely compact layout. Having been to Prater before this attraction existed, I was extremely impressed with the location of this ride. Most of the layout hugs the station area with the exception of the lift hill, turnaround, and drop, which actually thread directly over top of the nearby Geisterbahn. They literally had to build supports through the ride, which is incredibly impressive. It makes for some stellar visuals. You can walk directly underneath and all around the ride, and in terms of a ride experience, it's extremely fun. With just under 1,700 feet of track, every inch counts, and every moment in this layout just works. For those familiar with Prater, you might know they have a pay-per-ride system. There is no season pass or day ticket for this park. You pay for each ride individually, so one lap on Wiener Looping costs 8.5 euros. Not bad for a one-time ride, though it certainly does add up if you want to go on this multiple times, and is certainly not the most expensive ride in the park. If you're trying to ride every coaster here, it certainly gets expensive. This ride was so enjoyable that I had no problem doing it multiple times. If you're trying to be strategic though, I would recommend one ride during the day and one at night. This ride really shines with its captivating light package, smoke effects, and ultimately the ride just feels faster the later in the day it gets. My morning rides versus my evening rides showed substantial difference. Supposedly, it's about 34 seconds of ride time from the top of the drop to the brake run, but when it's hot out and running fast, you're looking at about 27 seconds. For a small ride, that's pretty sizable. I didn't feel like my experiences reflected a difference that much, but with Prater operating year-round, those hot summer days are definitely going to have a big difference compared to the colder ones. And where we see the most variation is with the inversions. One of Wiener Looping's star moments is its finish loop, which is essentially an elongated vertical loop. It's actually named off of a Gerstlauer coaster in Finland that did it first, but it's profiled that way for maximum hang time. And on some of my first laps, I couldn't believe just how long it felt like we were dangling there. It's a really effective moment that is fundamentally different from every other experience in Prater. This property has a lot of rides, but not many of their roller coasters were inversion focused. It's pretty much just their Zamperla Volare, which is terrible, and Olympia Looping, which isn't even here year round. So it's nice to have a real permanent coaster here with actual footers. It's not meant to be transportable. It's here to stay, and it delivers on the inversions as well as airtime. Wiener Looping features some distinct ejector pops, which you can't find on any other coaster in the park. Now that being said, I would still love to see a true airtime focused experience here one day, maybe in the form of a modern wooden coaster or an airtime machine like a Mega or Hyper coaster. We'll have to see though. Regardless, I feel like Wiener Looping fills a nice gap that existed within Prater. And that ride experience begins with a left-handed turn out of the station. Your 8-person vehicle will quickly climb to the top of the 102-foot tall lift hill, about 15 seconds to reach the top. You have a nice panoramic level turn where you'll see the city skyline of Vienna, and you'll pivot to face the park so you can see Olympia Looping and all those other rides. And the train pauses here to give you a chance to take in that view, kind of like a dive coaster in that regard. It helps build anticipation, and then you just slowly duck down towards the roof of the Geisterbahn, 92 degrees, an incredible moment of ejector airtime. This drop, for me, was the highlight of the ride. It was so powerful, easily my favorite drop on a Big Dipper coaster, and Wiener Looping immediately then throws you into an ejector bunny hill. So you have two crazy back-to-back airtime moments where you're just flying up into your lap bar. This bunny hill ducks underneath the brake run and it throws you up into the ride's first big element, a banana roll. There's only a handful of banana rolls anywhere in the world. It's basically a cobra roll, but it only goes upside down once. And personally, I find it a lot more comfortable and enjoyable. Prior to this moment, the only other Mack coaster that featured a banana roll was Ride to Happiness. And this one just takes it so quick. You are in and out, plunging back towards the ground and up into that finish loop. So much hang time. Those first 4 moments with the drop, airtime hill, banana roll, loop is a fantastic first half. Brilliant succession of elements. The track banks to the right and then switches to the left, rolling you over into a dive drop. There's some good whip here, especially if you sit on the right-hand side as you're rolling over. In general, my favorite seat on Wiener Looping is going to be that far right seat in the front row. I like it when the track just pulls you around those turns. And Wiener Looping follows it up with what I believe is its most intense moment, this helix that wraps around a future observation tower. During my experience, this tower was not yet in place, but I cannot imagine the near miss there'll be this helix because Prater is already compact enough. It's crazy they have this many rides, but the fact that they're fitting in another attraction in the layout of Wiener Looping is incredibly impressive. We're talking like centimeters of clearance. This helix is very tight. I grade out here, but that's definitely going to be a highlight once that tower opens. And Wiener Looping follows it up with a switch to the right and one final turn into the brake run. And depending on how the ride is tracking, that final turn can feel a bit slow. Definitely more enjoyable in the evening. That's really where you'll notice that main difference in ride experience. No matter when you do it, those first few elements hit really well. And so that's why overall I was very impressed with Wiener Looping. It's not the longest ride in the world, but it was never really meant to be. And for the most part, it tracks well. There is a little bit of a shake, mainly on the outer end seats, but it's not as noticeable in the first half of the ride. Really, it's just that final turn when I feel like it's the shakiest, but it wasn't bad at all. I had a lot of fun on this ride, and I look forward to returning to Prater one day when I can experience it backwards. One of the craziest tricks that this ride features is an optional backwards row. Those who visited Prater right around its time of opening could experience it backwards. During my visit over the summer, that backwards row was not in operation, but from my understanding, it will be back. And I already know that that drop and airtime hill is going to be gnarly backwards. I love that this ride has that option. I wish that more coasters had an optional experience like this. Mack has been known for doing this in the past. You have the backwards row on DC Rivals, the spinning seat on Steel Taipan and Icon. It's a perfect way to encourage re-rideability, which at Prater is very important because remember, you're paying for every single lap you do. So if you have a forwards and backwards option, if someone likes the ride enough, which I don't know how they wouldn't, they could be paying twice as much to experience the ride in both formats. That is smart. So for Wiener Looping's final score, I'm giving it an 8.5 out of 10. It's an extremely enjoyable roller coaster. It's not the most mind-blowing experience, but it is now undoubtedly the standout ride at this park, something that they desperately needed. It has some really great elements and overall is a very comfortable experience. These Big Dippers and this layout in particular share a lot of similarities to a Gerstlauer Eurofighter, and while not every Eurofighter is created equal, at the moment if I had to choose which one would I rather take, I'll take the Big Dipper. I prefer the train seating arrangement. I love that you have the wing seats, the lap bars. Mack has a really nice product here. I'm glad that we now have 4 of them across Europe. Now we just need some in the US. But you can let me know down in the comments below if you've experienced Wiener Looping, what your thoughts were on it, if you agree with the points that I brought up, and of course make sure to stay tuned for more here at Coaster Studios, and I'll see you next time.